What if the plan is perfect and still fails? Stop. If you're planning your retirement around average returns, you could be making a catastrophic mistake. Two retirees can start with the same money, the same investments, the same withdrawal rate, and the same long-term average return. On paper, they look identical. In real life, one can stay comfortable while the other slowly runs out of options, not because one was reckless, not because one picked terrible investments, not because one ignored the plan, because of when the market moved. That is the danger most retirement calculators make too easy to miss. They show you averages, but retirement does not arrive as an average. It arrives year by year in a very specific order while you are taking money out. So the question is not, what did the market average? The question is, what happened first? And if the wrong years happen first, your plan can start breaking before you feel any pain. The most dangerous retirement damage is the damage that still looks fine at first. Now let me show you why average returns can be dangerously misleading. If you care about building a retirement structure that survives all three phases, hit like and subscribe. This channel is about stress testing retirement before reality does it for you. The number that comforts you may be hiding the risk. Most people think retirement success comes down to returns. They ask, what return do I need? Is 6% enough? Should I assume 7%? What happens if I only get 5? Those are reasonable questions, but they are not complete questions. Average return is a summary. It compresses years of gains, losses, recoveries, and downturns into one clean number. That can be useful when you are looking backward, but it can be dangerous when you are planning a retirement that must survive forward in real time, because you do not spend an average. You do not withdraw an average. You do not live in an average year. You live year 1, then year 2, then year 3. And if those first years are weak, the later average may not save you. Here is the trap. The average can look acceptable even when the actual path is destructive. That means your spreadsheet can say, fine, while the structure underneath the plan is already getting weaker. Averages describe the market. Sequences determine the retiree's outcome. To see this clearly, we need to separate working years from retirement years. The day you stop contributing, the math changes. During your working years, a market decline is uncomfortable, but it is not automatically destructive. If you are still earning a paycheck, still contributing to your accounts, and still buying investments, lower prices can eventually help you. You buy more shares at cheaper levels. You have time. You have income. You do not need the portfolio to pay your electric bill next month. That is accumulation. Retirement is different. In retirement, you are no longer feeding the portfolio. You are drawing from it. You are no longer buying through every downturn. You may be selling during downturns. That flips the risk. A loss while you are saving can be temporary. A loss while you are withdrawing can become permanent because you may be forced to sell assets when their prices are depressed. The market drop is only the first hit. The withdrawal during the drop is the second hit. And that second hit is what turns a normal downturn into structural damage. Volatility is one thing. Volatility plus withdrawals is something else. Now we can define sequence risk in plain English. This is the risk hiding inside the order of returns. Sequence risk, also called sequence of returns risk, means the order of your investment returns can matter more than the average return itself. That sounds technical, but the idea is simple. If bad returns happen early in retirement, while you are withdrawing money, they can do more damage than the same bad returns happening later. Why? Because early losses reduce the base of the portfolio. At the same time, withdrawals are removing capital. That means future recovery happens on less money. It also means fewer shares are left to participate when the market eventually improves. The market may recover. Your portfolio may not recover the same way. That is the core danger. Sequence risk is not about whether markets go down. The question is whether they go down while you are forced to sell. If they do, your retirement can be pushed onto a permanently weaker path. It is not just the loss. It is the timing of the loss. Let us walk through two retirees and make this impossible to miss. Same numbers, same plan, different future, Consider two retirees. Both retire at age 65. Both start with $1 million. Both withdraw $40,000 per year. Both use the same investment mix. Both eventually average 6% over time. On paper, they look like twins. But retiree A gets weak returns early. The first few years are down, flat, or choppy. Retiree B gets strong returns early. The first few years are favorable, and the portfolio grows before serious stress arrives. Same average return, but not the same path. Retiree A withdraws from a shrinking account. Retiree B withdraws from a growing account. That difference becomes enormous over time. The question is not just, what return did they get? It is, what size was the portfolio when withdrawals happened? Because the same $40,000 withdrawal is harmless in one situation and damaging in another. Same return, different order, different retirement. Now let us focus on the retiree who gets hit first. A bad first chapter can change the whole story. Retiree A begins retirement during a weak market period. The account falls, but bills do not stop. Groceries still need to be bought. Insurance still needs to be paid. Taxes still exist. Life continues. So retiree A withdraws from a portfolio that is already under pressure. That creates a compounding problem. The account balance is lower. The withdrawal represents a larger percentage of what remains. Assets are sold at depressed prices. Those sold assets are gone. They are not available for the recovery. This is where people misunderstand recovery. A later rebound does not automatically fix the damage because the portfolio is trying to rebound with fewer shares and less capital. The market can bounce back on the news, but your portfolio only bounces back with what is still left inside it. If too much was sold early, the future recovery has less power. Early losses plus withdrawals equal permanent damage. Now compare that with the retiree who gets lucky early. The same market can punish one retiree and protect another. Retiree B experiences strong returns early. The portfolio grows in the first few years of retirement. Withdrawals still happen, but they come from a larger base. That larger base creates margin. It creates breathing room. It gives the plan a cushion before the inevitable difficult years arrive. Later, when markets decline, retiree B is still affected. Losses still hurt, but the structure is stronger. The withdrawals represent a smaller share of the account. The portfolio has more assets available to recover. The retiree has more room to adjust calmly instead of reacting in fear. This is why sequence risk is unfair. Two retirees can make the same decisions and earn the same average return, but timing gives one a cushion and gives the other a wound. Neither retiree controlled the sequence, but the sequence controlled their outcome. That means luck can quietly become a major retirement factor unless the plan is built to absorb bad timing. Good timing can hide weakness. Bad timing exposes it. And the most dangerous part is how normal it feels while it is happening. Failure does not feel like failure at first. Sequence risk rarely announces itself. At first, nothing looks broken. The account balance may still seem large. The retiree may still be paying bills on time. The plan may still appear functional. But something begins to change. You check the account more often. You hesitate before booking a trip. You delay a home project. You tell yourself, let us wait and see. That is not failure in the dramatic sense. It is compression. Your choices start narrowing. Your freedom starts shrinking. Your confidence becomes thinner. This matters because retirement is not only about avoiding zero. It is about preserving the ability to live with confidence. A plan can still have money and still be losing freedom. If flexibility disappears early, later retirement becomes more fragile, even if the balance never hits zero. Most retirees do not run out of money first. They run out of room. This is where the 4% rule can mislead people. A rule can be useful and still be incomplete. The 4% rule is a useful starting point. It gives retirees a simple framework. It helps people understand the relationship between withdrawals, investment returns, and time. But it is not a personal guarantee. It does not know your exact market sequence. It does not know your healthcare costs. It does not know your taxes. It does not know whether you retire into a bull market or a bear market. It does not know whether inflation will hit hard in your first 5 years. The rule is based on historical analysis. Your retirement is lived in the future. That is why the rule needs a response system. A withdrawal rate by itself is not a plan. It is only one part of a plan. If your strategy is, I withdraw this amount no matter what, you do not have a retirement plan. You have a rigid instruction. And rigid instructions break when reality changes. The magic is not the percentage. The magic is the plan around it. Now comes the part that damages people even more than the math. The market hurts the portfolio. Fear can finish the job. Sequence risk is not only mathematical, it is psychological. When markets fall early in retirement, confidence drops. Fear rises. People start checking balances more often. They become more sensitive to headlines. They second-guess decisions that used to feel clear. Then they may do something they never intended to do. They sell at the wrong time. They reduce risk after the damage has already happened. They abandon a strategy that needed adjustment, not panic. This is where a bad sequence becomes worse. The market creates the first problem. Behavior can multiply it. And that is why a retirement plan must include rules for bad years before bad years arrive. You do not want your frightened future self inventing the plan in the middle of a downturn. If the response is not pre-decided, panic becomes the strategy. Pressure changes behavior. Behavior changes outcomes. So the solution is not prediction, it is preparation. You cannot control the sequence, but you can control the structure. You do not solve sequence risk by predicting the market. You cannot know whether the next downturn will arrive in year 1, year 5, or year 15. You cannot control whether your first decade of retirement will be smooth or ugly. But you can build a plan designed to survive bad timing. First, create flexibility. If markets are down, reduce discretionary withdrawals. Pause major expenses. Avoid automatic increases for a year. Second, build a cash buffer. 1 to 3 years of essential expenses outside the market can help you avoid selling long-term assets during a downturn. Third, separate spending. Essentials are not the same as travel, gifts, upgrades, and optional projects. Know which levers can move. Fourth, diversify thoughtfully. Diversification will not eliminate losses, but it may reduce the need to sell the wrong asset at the wrong time. Fifth, consider time. Delaying retirement by even 1 or 2 years can reduce the danger dramatically. You cannot force markets to cooperate, but you can stop your plan from depending on cooperation. That is the difference between fragile and resilient. A resilient plan prepares before pressure arrives. Now let me show you the moment this matters in real life. The damage shows up as hesitation before it shows up as ruin. Imagine you are 72 years old. You retired 7 years ago. You did everything responsibly. You saved. You invested. You followed the plan. But the first several years were rough. A weak market, higher inflation, a few normal withdrawals. Nothing reckless, nothing shameful, just normal life arriving at the wrong time. Now you are sitting at the kitchen table with your spouse, looking at the numbers. You are not broke. You are not desperate. But the account does not feel the way you expected it to feel. The trip you once would have booked immediately becomes a discussion. The home repair gets delayed. The gift to your grandchildren feels heavier. That is sequence risk in real life. Not always bankruptcy, often hesitation. The plan may still be alive on paper, but the freedom inside the plan has started to shrink. And once freedom shrinks, retirement feels different even before the money is gone. The cost is not always losing money. Sometimes it is losing peace. So what should you remember when the video ends? It is not about how much you make. It is about when you lose. Here's the bottom line. You do not need perfect returns. You do not need to beat the market. You do not need to predict the future. You need a plan that can survive bad timing, because retirement success is not just about the return you earn. It is about the order in which life and markets arrive. You do not live the average. You live the sequence. And the sequence can change everything. The goal is not fear. The goal is preparation. A fragile plan says, I hope the average works. A resilient plan says, if the first years are rough, here is how we respond. That is the difference. If this helped you understand retirement risk more clearly, hit like and subscribe. This channel is about stress testing retirement before reality does it for you, because the strongest retirement plans are not built on perfect predictions. They are built on resilience. You do not live the average. You live the sequence.